Hey there, I'm Eric Wordweaver Sjerven, Goalie of the Ridgar folk here in East Texas, and I'd like to welcome you to the Raven's Call. This is a show where I kind of ramble on about different heathen-related subjects, and today we're going to venture off into some of the more religious elements of heathenry, and go back and watch my video on religion and heathenry to get kind of a viewpoint on where I'm coming from this. It's kind of frantic, it's kind of spastic, and it's a little bit longer, but it gives you a picture of where I'm going with this, okay? It also establishes the sacred and profane building block, which I'm not going to revisit here. If you want it, go back and look at the video. That's why it's there, okay? So we're going to talk about the permeable membranes with relation to ritual, how this works into the religious element of heathenry. Now, again, religion is dealing with the gods and goddesses, so keep that in mind. Okay, we're not dealing with the spiritual side of things, wherein we would like leave an offering out for the ancestors or the Vetir, invite them to dinner, or try to appease the Vetir. No, we're looking specifically at interacting with the gods and goddesses through sacrifice. Okay, and in my research, I've been able to suss out about 3 avenues that I like to call the 3 Bs. These are the main forms of sacrifice. That's burial, bog, and burn. Now, these are not universal, but that tends to be the 3 big ones that I have seen used throughout heathenry in arch-heathen times, and they still are used today, whether or not we realize this or not. A lot of tribes still use these methods today. Ridgar, my tribe, likes to utilize burning specifically. We have used bogging in the past, burial in certain instances, but with our land the way it is, burning seems to be just the most effective way to do that within the confines of our Ve and the way we have things set up. But all of these are things that we have some historical basis for, and that we know that our ancestors used for ritual purposes. Burial has been very effective in giving us insight into ritual because a lot of those things were preserved through that burial. We're able to find the distorted swords that were sacrificed either to Tyr or Odin, whatever it may have been. We're able to find remnants of animal-human sacrifices back in the day that were preserved in some method. And so that burial was very, very valuable to us, but it's not the only method. Of course, burning, like I said before, is what we do. Bogging was a very, very popular one, especially in like Anglo-Saxon heathenry. I've found a lot of references to bogging, especially when it comes to like human sacrifices or even material objects. The idea is that each of these things, the fire, the water, and the earth, all are permeable membranes. They are gateways to the other world. You pass from the seen to the unseen. In fire is cleansing. Fire is powerful because it breaks something down to the raw energy. It literally destroys the physical components, breaks it down to just the energy and the carbon. And that's what you have left over is the ash. Now, a lot of times in ritual, what we will do is we'll burn something and then we'll bury the ashes within the Ve, or we'll use the ashes in some way within the Ve, keeping the full transition there. But a lot of times we've done bogging rituals in the past, and every time what I see is that we take this offering, we take the energies that we pour into these offerings, the energies that we ourselves put into them. If it's a sword, it's the energy that's put into creating the sword. It's the lives that may have been taken with the sword. It's the symbolism behind the sword and the psychic energies that we place into it due to it being a symbol. I can do another video on symbols later, but symbolism is a huge thing when it comes to both the religious and spiritual side of things, as far as focusing will and consciousness and meaningful action through these symbols. So anyway, we'll come back to that. Every time we're taking these energies and we are passing them through this membrane into the realm of the unseen. We're taking this item and we're passing it from the material plane out of our view, out of our world, through a doorway into the sacred. It's a symbolic transition. It's the crossing of the rainbow bridge. It's the ride to hell. It is a transition from our world into the next, into the sacred realm, into the world of the gods and goddesses. This is how we get our energies there. To leave an offering is to leave it within the profane world, so it's less effective. It can have some transference, but the most powerful aspects come from crossing a permeable membrane in ritual to facilitate that transition. This is I find to be a very important part of ritual that I don't know that a lot of people necessarily think about. There is a symbolic nature of transitioning from one world to the next. You get a chthonic element in the burial. You are taking it from the overworld and passing it to the underworld. You are, with fire, breaking things down to their core element. You're sending that raw, pure energy, cleansed of the profane world, leaving nothing but the sacred energies to travel to the gods and goddesses. In Bogging, you are passing literally through a mirror. Water is the quintessential permeable membrane. I can't even stress how much I love the concept of bogging within the realm of sacrifice. Not everybody has got access to a body of water that they can effectively bog with. Okay, lakes work, rivers work. You're passing it from this world into the next. You are transitioning those energies between the profane world and the sacred world. So when you're going through and you're building your rituals and you're deciding how you want to do your sacrifice, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what makes a good sacrifice or what doesn't. That's going to be an individual decision. That's going to be based very heavily on your own preferences and your own relationship with the gods. I do urge you to look at some of the history of things, look at what has worked in the past for ancestors, talk to other tribes, find out what worked for them, but ultimately find what works for you. In building your rituals and you decide what your sacrifice is, you decide how you're going to go about things, think about the permeable membrane aspect, okay? When I say that, there's a membrane, a thin veil between this world and the next. Just like there's a veil between the physical world and the spiritual world, there's a veil between the profane world and the sacred world. And it is a permeable membrane. We know from the lore that the gods can pass back and forth between the realm of the sacred and Midgard. Now, when we create a Vey, we create a housing unit, an airlock, if you will, for these sacred energies that come into Midgard. And it is through our hogr, our altar, or whatever it is that you use specifically, that we focus that becomes the gateway, that becomes the conduit, that those energies pass from the sacred through the conduit into the sacred space. And that is where the heathens interact with the power of the divine, the power of the sacred. So we need a method of getting our sacrifices, our energies across that membrane. And it is through burial, bogging, and burning that we achieve this, the 3 B's. Keep that in mind when you go through and you build your rituals. How are you utilizing permeable membranes in the structure of your ritual? How are you thinking about the transition of these energies in this sacrifice to the gods and goddesses? We can talk more about sacred space and how all of that works in relation with the ritual. There will be future videos, but permeable membranes, think about it. Fire, water, and earth. Physical medium that you pass through, or with fire, raw energy, the act of transitioning from the profane world to the sacred world. This is how we get our message across. This is how we get our energies across. So, without rambling on any further, think about it. Use it in your own rituals. Figure out how you want to use that. But think about it. Learn from it. Figure it out for yourselves. And just help it to make your rituals even stronger, even better. Because the more attention that the gods pay to this world, in all of Midgard, the more that we shine light here on the heathens, the more we will bring them their blessings back to Midgard. The more that we will enjoy a good, strong relationship with the gods. So, if you liked today's video, hit a like on the video itself. Give me a comment down in the comment section, or subscribe to my channel. I also have a Facebook channel called Word-Weaver Productions. This is an open group on Facebook where I get insight and input from you guys. So hit it up. Give me some feedback. What do you guys think? How are you utilizing permeable membranes in your own ritual structure? How do you see permeable membranes? Am I missing something outside of the 3 B's, the burning, bogging, and burial? What are your thoughts? What do you think? Bring it on, guys. I love to hear from you. I love to have the feedback. I love the community aspect. So let me know what you're thinking. Also, while you're on there, check out some of my other videos. We'll talk some more on the cultural and the spiritual side. I'll be building a new, more in the line of the religious aspects as I go along as well. So, without any further ado, have a good day. Hail.